the international market can kill the local one, but the local has to step up to match the international, really. Yeah.
Welcome to The Stack, where we're having conversations with the people building the systems shaping Africa's digital future. Today, we have with us Abrose Mbayi, who is an iOS engineer with both local and international experience. He's had experience building many applications, and today we want to delve a little bit deeper into the work that he's doing. So, Ambi, welcome to the podcast. Very happy to have you here.
Thank you, Udi.
Why don't you start by giving us a little bit of information about yourself? We know you have a background in computer science and you're now an iOS engineer. So what led you into computer science and what led you specifically into iOS engineering?
Okay. Getting into tech space, it's an interesting journey for me. Looking back from high school, primary, I always knew what I wanted to be. And this is one thing that most people miss it, like not knowing what you want. Way early from primary, I knew that I wanted to be an IT expert. Those are adverts that used to come about colleges on TV. And then one particular one was, being an IT expert at Tech University. So from the very, very go, my dad would ask me, what do you want to be? I want to be an IT expert. Yeah. And then now going to high school, my uncle, he used to work at UN. He got me a computer. So I was like, yeah, this is my path. So in high school, I majored in computer science, which was more of a new subject being introduced during our year. I managed to, pursue it. And then now coming to uni, every other course that I picked was related to computer, be it IT, be it information technology, mathematics and computer science major, electronic engineering. So I got to pick mathematics and computer science as my bachelor's, which I did for 4 years, graduated 2018. And then now got into the industry of computing. So now my interest, or rather passion, came to be more of a software engineer. I've been a software engineer for the longest. Currently, I work as an iOS engineer at Lunchbox Food Technology. Lunchbox is an international company. I'm a tech founder. I've built FaithPod startup. FaithPod is like my baby. It's still early in stages. So what we do at FaithPod is we try help churches manage, or rather automate, the manual processes of their daily operations. We have a few clients, majorly the Seventh-day Adventist churches. One being my primary church, Karingata. We've managed to build web platforms, Android platforms, and iOS platforms. We're still growing. We're looking for clients. We're looking for opportunities, investors, just to help us grow as technology. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you started off, from a really young age, obviously, and you went into software engineering.
Yeah.
What makes iOS engineering specifically different from other forms of software engineering? What are the differences?
So it's not that it's so different from other platforms. It's more of where is it being used, because iOS is majorly for Apple products. Yeah, specifically mobile phone. Yeah, there's macOS, which powered the laptops, and then there are other platforms like Android. There are other platforms like maybe desktop applications. There are other platforms like web applications. So the iOS bits, I got into iOS from an opportunity that was there in the company that I was working at, Zeraki. So when I was working at Zeraki, one of the investors, is or was a lecturer at Harvard by then. And then he told one of our founders that, he's teaching African languages in Harvard, and he would like to, gamify that process of teaching, so that, there's an app that can help the whites or maybe the foreigners be able to learn Swahili, Somali. So this particular co-founder suggested that in the town hall meeting, and then I was like, yeah, I can take up the challenge. Yeah. So what do you need? I think I'll need a Mac because it's majorly an iOS platform. So they got a Mac, and I was able to build this mobile application, which I think is still currently being used at Harvard to gamify all the foreign languages teachings. Yeah, so that's how I got into iOS. I have a background in web development as well. I have a background in Android development as well because Faithful, I'm like the CTO of it, so I have to understand both platforms, or rather all of the platforms, to be able to know the market needs and how users use it. Yeah.
Actually, now that you brought it up, I was going to ask, do you think that local perspectives fit into international products? Because you mentioned that people at Harvard are trying to learn, our languages through these apps.
Yeah.
So are they taking information from us to learn these languages, or like how does that process work? Is it like they contract people like you to get the languages and do the research and put it all together into this iOS system so that they can be able to use it?
How local and international in terms of skill sets and in terms of the engineers, it's more of the talent that are there. Yeah. And there's so much talent in local. And the beauty is the bit that has come into play of late is working from home or maybe working remotely. An engineer doesn't have to relocate to US to be able to work in the US market. They can just work from Kenya or maybe wherever they are, so long as you have internet connection. So I'd say the whites getting skill sets from Africa, it's more of what kind of talent are we able to get from here. And then there's also beauty in that the talent is cheap, lack of a better word, but sometimes they take advantage of that really, because the kind of lifestyles we live in Africa and the kind of lifestyle that we live in the US are sort of different. Yeah, see, acquiring property in Kenya would be cheaper than acquiring property in the US. Maybe getting food in the US would be expensive, and like getting food locally. So it's just more of skill sets and how you can connect with the market. You don't have to be physically there, but at least you're able to connect with them. About data and what did you mention about?
The research.
The research and all that. There are quite a bit of data sets to use here. And with advancement of AI currently, everything can be found anywhere. Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of because you've also mentioned that we have a lot of talent that's available locally. So obviously Kenya is a very, it has a growing developer community in it, but a lot of us use Androids. Some of us use iOS. How do you describe the two scenes in Kenya, like the iOS scene versus the Android scene?
Yeah.
Are there major differences in it?
Yeah, the major differences in it, you look at it from the bit of how fast can somebody acquire an Android phone. Yeah. Android are generally cheaper than iOS. You can get an Android phone at maybe 10K. It'll be difficult to get an iPhone at 10K. Yeah. So companies, startups in Kenya would prefer reaching their Android users faster, unlike the iOS users. Yeah, because number one of the availability and how cheap the phones are. Yeah, but with the new technology, or rather with the advancement of technology, it has reached a point where development is more of cross-platform. Yeah, so companies would just use one particular tool or maybe a programming language to build an application that will run on both platforms. Yeah, so that makes it easier to target both devices. But majorly, companies more invest so much on the Android users locally in Kenya, from my experience, unlike going deeper into the iOS products. Yeah.
So what's the difference between developing on an Android for an Android system versus an iOS?
So there's a bit of native, and development has programming languages in it. Yeah. When you develop for Android, you use a programming language called Kotlin. Yeah. Java. When you're developing for iOS, you use a programming language called Swift. Yeah. Swift is built by Apple. Yeah. Kotlin is built by Google. Google powers Android. Yeah. So, but with the advancement of technology, or rather, so when you are building for Android, you build them natively. Yeah. Android and iOS. So that means you'll need an engineer who understands Android environment, an engineer who understands iOS environment. But at the end of the day, they're building the same product. Yeah. So with the advancement of technology, we've reached a point where you can use one tool to build cross-platform. Yeah. So you use one programming language that will be deployed on Android and can be deployed on iOS. So example is Flutter, example is Kotlin multi-platform, or React Native. Yeah. So when it comes to skill set, it's for the local market, it's cheaper to get somebody who's conversant with cross-platform development, unlike getting two independent engineers, one working on iOS, other working on Android. Yeah.
So is there more opportunity for Android engineers than iOS?
Locally, for Android engineers, yes. Okay. It's first-hand. Yeah. So locally, we have communities, tech communities, based on programming tools that are available. Yeah, there's Angular community. Majorly, they focus on web development, web platforms, and then there's Android community. They focus on Android platforms. Yeah, recently there's rise, or rather need of iOS platform, iOS community to come into play, because somehow iPhone is getting into the market. Yeah, and it would be nice to build them natively. Yeah, but when it comes to in terms of cheaper, or rather how do you call it, getting skill set, locally Android still wins. Yeah.
Okay. And what would you say is the most difficult part about building a system for iOS? Like if you're building, I'm assuming FaithPod is both iOS and Android.
Yeah.
Like what was the hardest part about building that system?
So we don't label it as hard. Okay. Yeah. Because ideally, being a software engineer, it's more of you're solving a problem. Yeah. And solving a problem, there are tools that you use to solve that particular problem. Yeah. And knowing one tool makes it easier to adapt to other tools as well. Yeah. So normally the difficult part, lack of a better word, normally comes in terms of learning. Yeah. There are tools that are used to build these softwares. Yeah. And these tools are called programming languages. So if you know one programming language, it's easier to adapt into other programming languages. Yeah. So I wouldn't want to label it as what is the most hardest part. The problem is what challenge, or rather what a problem that you found so difficult to solve. Yeah. Because you can solve this particular problem using a different tool. It's like building. Somebody want to build using wood. Somebody want to build using bricks or maybe blocks. Yeah. At the end of the day, they've built a house and they're comfortable. They can live in it. Same with the applications. At the end of the day, you've built an app that is solving a problem that was there. Yeah. So it doesn't matter the kind of tool that you're using, really. It's more of how fast can you release a product to the market, and how best are you solving a problem that exists.
Yeah. So okay. So then, what is the greatest challenge? And together with that, what problem do you think that you're solving when you're building your systems, whether it's at your current job or through FaithPod?
Yeah. So let me talk a little bit about FaithPod. FaithPod came into existence because of the problem that the churches have. Yeah. When you look at how churches manage their members, when you look at how churches manage their givings, when you look at how churches manage their communication, yeah, everything is so manual. When I pay tithe, I have to write it on an envelope, yeah, and then deacon retip, or maybe the ushers, they collect that, they take it to a central place, and then somebody has to manually record those items. Say, for example, Karingata has a population of 1,000, yeah, members. Imagine collecting 1,000 envelopes and then giving this to one person to do manual entry for them, and then they start, doing the budgeting, all those things. Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah, being a software engineer comes into play. That can I find a solution to this so that we at least automate all this process? Yeah. So Faithboot comes into play and says, hey, I can help you manage how you're doing your givings. Yeah. Because right now we have not so many people use cash. Yeah. Can I build a platform that will allow me to, do my givings maybe through M-Pesa and be able to get receipts acknowledging my givings, and at the same time make work easier for the treasury team to see the records that are coming in, so that they can be able to generate reports. They can be able to make informed decision on how giving is happening in their local churches. Yeah. When it comes to communication as well, churches have a lot of WhatsApp groups. Yeah. You open a WhatsApp group and you find 1,000 messages. A normal human being will not want to go through all these 1,000 messages. So in case a church has an important information that they wanted to pass, this information gets lost in, this WhatsApp groups and all that. Yeah. So Faithboot comes in and says, I can help you manage how you communicate with your members in an easier way. Yeah. Do you want to communicate to them through email? Do you want to communicate through them through SMS, so that important information are not lost? Yeah. You just see a pop-up from Karingata SD or maybe a local church, an important information. Yeah. And we've enhanced it in a way that the church can communicate to an individual. The church can communicate to a particular population group, say the men, say the women, the youth, or the children. Yeah, so long as they have devices. The church can communicate to particular prayer cells, yeah, like maybe regions, by just sending one information to all of them. And through this, it makes that engagement easy. Faithboot comes in and says, let your leadership deal with the spiritual nurturing of your church, and we help you manage all the manual processes that could be happening in your church in a way that it's automated, making work easier for you and for the church. Yeah.
Is this system developed locally, or like is it hosted locally or internationally?
The system is local.
Okay.
Yeah. Faithboot is the Kenyan company, so everything is being hosted locally. Yeah.
Okay. So to follow up from that, do you think that there are enough like African applications that are being built for African users on iOS? Or are most of the iOS developers that are maybe in the country or on the continent here building for more Western markets?
So that's a 50-50 one, really, because right now with the bit of remote work, again, we look at the remunerations and the compensations that and the benefits that come with it. Here, when you work for an international market, the perks are high, unlike the local market. Yeah. So you'll find most developers, that software engineers, they are pro working for the international markets based on the remuneration, based on the park. That doesn't mean that the local don't compensate really, really well. Yeah. And it has reached a point where the international markets are setting their markets locally. We have Microsoft, we have AWS, we have Visa. They've brought, they've expanded their market into the local region. So they can also hire developers, or rather get talent for their local regional offices. Yeah.
Do you think that the entrance of all these international companies and the fact that the international companies want to hire more labor from here, perhaps because it's cheaper,
Yeah.
do you think it's sort of like dissolving what we have on the continent? Like it's sort of doing away with our businesses because now everyone wants to go and work at Microsoft, at Google, and
Yeah.
we're ignoring the local businesses that we have here.
Again, for somebody who's offering their services, they normally go for the highest bidder. Yeah. If let me talk about how Microsoft entered Kenya. It really did dirty to the local companies. Yeah. A few of my friends got opportunity to get into Microsoft, and what the local companies were offering them, Microsoft would double or triple. Yeah. If you're in that space, you didn't even think twice. Yeah. Say you're working as an engineer at Safaricom, being given maybe say $3,000 per month. Microsoft comes and says, I'm gonna give you $8,000. You didn't even think twice. Yeah. So number one, there's benefits, or rather, it challenges the local markets to see value in what international market is seeing. Yeah. So are you able to match what international companies are giving? Number one. And then what value is the international company giving? Yeah. I'll give an example for me. I worked at a local company before going international. And when I was leaving, the company was like, can we match the offer, or rather give you more than what the international company is giving you, so that you remain. But through that, I was like, sometimes it's not about the money, it's about seeing what is out there and getting exposure into how international market works, really, and then maybe learning experiences and getting a broader aspect of how technology works in the international market. Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah. So it's the international market can kill the local one, but the local has to step up to match the international, really. Yeah. And then again, it's also about the product that we're producing from our universities. Yeah. Because when you're fresh from campus, you still don't have that much experience on how the market works. Yeah. So it's easy to get opportunity in the local. Yeah. Because you're still, let me say, junior. Yeah. And then when you reach as you scale up, you get more experience, and your whole tech field expands. Yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to bring us back to the conversation about working internationally versus locally.
Yeah.
But for now, you said that local companies need to step up.
Yeah.
Is that okay? I understand the aspect that a lot of local companies may not offer the same kind of compensation that international companies can for various issues, the economy and all that.
Yeah.
But when we're asking our local companies to step up, is that possible considering the competition that they are facing? Because someone like Microsoft is competing with a local company that has been in the market for like 10 years, or is starting to gain traction, but then now Microsoft comes in. Like how can you possibly match that? Is it possible? I'm not saying that we should kick out Microsoft or Google or anything, but like, is it really possible for us to compete with big companies that come in?
It's a difficult space to be in, because in terms of competition, really, it's difficult to compete the big giants. Yeah. I was talking to a friend, and we were making jokes that sometimes these big giants, they just act like bullies. Yeah. But when you look at how Amazon behaves, Amazon will see a company that is coming up, and then they buy that company. They just offer the founders some crazy amount of figures, and they buy that company with everything about it. Yeah. So it would be difficult for locals to match the international because of the muscles that they have, really. But that doesn't mean that we need to kill the local. Yeah. Again, it's about the problems that you're solving, yeah, for the locals, because you understand the need of your local people more than the international understand the need of your local.
Yeah.
Yeah. The products that Microsoft are building, they've not exhausted all the problems that we have as, say, a country. Yeah. That is where you'll see their agri-tech businesses just to reach the local farmers. Yeah. Another example is, let me just go back to Safaricom in terms of payment platforms. Yeah, you see, Microsoft has not gotten into Safaricom thing so that they want to challenge them, or maybe Amazon challenging Safaricom what they do. Yeah. So if a company in the local understands the market and the need, or rather the problem that they need to solve, they're able to get that. Yeah. Let me relate it with Faithboard. So Faithboard understands the problem that the local churches are facing, unlike what the international church has. The international church here is the general conference. Yeah. When we started Faithboard, in the process of us building, we had a session with one of the international, like the GC system. So they came to Karingata and they wanted to pitch their product here, how it's solving all these problems from financial, from membership management, and all that. Yeah. One bigger question that they didn't tackle, or rather, really well, was the finance bit, and that is the backbone of the whole church management system. Because if you're able to solve the financial angle, you've gotten, or rather you've won the heart of that particular church. Yeah. So the international company comes and says, we are solving this problem, really. But when it comes to the finances, we have one central bank account, yeah, that all churches will be sending their givings. Yeah. See now, let me give an example with GC. That software, it's being integrated into Karengata. When it comes to payment, members pay, and this goes to one central account in the US. Yeah. So the bigger question is, if we want our funds to use them locally, how do we go about that? And then they say you'll have to write letters to make requisitions and stuff, and then it has to be discussed. That Karengata needs this kind of fund to do their activities, and then now let's approve the release of that kind of fund. Yeah, that would be a pain if Karengata wants to pay their electricity bills. Yeah, and then they say we'll have to write a letter to the US for US to approve us to get maybe 10,000 to pay our electricity bill. Yeah. So from that bit, the international platform does not understand the need of the local. Yeah. And Facebook comes in and says, we're managing your your finances. The platform that we're giving you, you're integrating all your payment details. Yeah. You're integrating your bank in there. So everything you're doing goes directly to your account. Yeah. So this gives freedom for the churches to do whatever they want with their money. Yeah. So that's a problem, a local problem that international does not understand. Yeah. So at no point will international kill every local activities. Yeah. So again, back to the point is local startups understanding, or local companies understanding the problem that they need to solve in the local market. Yeah.
Do local companies have the capacity, both financially, skills based, all that, to fix the local problems that are here? Or would they still need to get help from an international company or an international entity to fix the problems through the local company?
We have all the capacity to solve the problems that we're facing. Yeah. The main blocker is normally about governance. Yeah. And all these rules that we put that is blocking us into exploring our talents and maybe exploring what we have and the capabilities that we have. Yeah. When you look at taxes in our local country, that's so heavy for a local business to grow. Yeah. Still with the governance and structures. So if the government is able to put structures that allow you as Woody to have a startup and grow, thrive. Maybe government says that there's a startup that is coming up here. We can pump in some money to accelerate it to grow. Yeah, so that will allow growth. Yeah, and we'll be able to solve the problems that we are having. Yeah, so the main issue that I look at is normally the governance, which sometimes can be a pain to locals growing. Yeah, so that's why you'd see somebody prefer, let me just work international. Look at the sports activity. Yeah, you'll find some countries thrive in sports, but the people who put that country on the map, or rather on the globe, are our people. Yeah, like there's some marathon runners who run for different countries. Yeah, and then when they come to screen on a Kipruto, this is our person.
Yeah.
But you see, that country has structures that has allowed him to thrive. Yeah, unlike what we have locally. Yeah,
So we have the skills, we have the talent.
we have everything.
It's just the governance.
It's just the governance. Yeah.
Okay, so if the governance was to change, you think that we would thrive more?
So much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So taking all that into consideration, if someone is getting into the field of engineering, iOS, Android, software engineering, would you advise them to stay local or to be more international in the work that they are doing?
Again, it depends on the problem that you're solving. Yeah. It depends with the market rates that are there, and it depends with availability of opportunities. Yeah. Say you have two offers, an international and a local one. Yeah. You look at all the benefits. Yeah. If the international one is good, you'll go for it. Yeah. If the local one is good, you'll go for it. At the end of the time, you look at it from, how do I want to scale my career? Yeah. It reaches a point where you're so expert in what you do. Yeah. You don't even need to be placed by money or something. So for you, it's normally what problem am I solving? Yeah, I'll give an example. There's one engineer at Microsoft. He spent like 23 years over there. Yeah, so this is somebody who's known Microsoft in and out. He's solved all the problems. Yeah, and then he decides he wants to retire, and he goes to be a goose farmer. Yeah, and then kwa LinkedIn yake he's written goose farmer. Yeah, because he's reached that level of I satisfaction is enough. I'm tired.
Yeah.
So comparing international local, look at the benefits that are there. Yeah, remunerations, your growth in career, the problems that you are trying to solve. Yeah, international is good because it gives you exposure. There are good structures there. Yeah, unlike local. Say for example, Faithboard. I do everything. Yeah. I do iOS, I do Android, I do web, I do the DevOps. Yeah. But when you put Faithboard as an international company, there are people that are supposed to handle particular area of that company. There are people that are supposed to handle the Android platforms. There are people that are supposed to handle the iOS platform. There are people that are supposed to handle the web platform. Yeah. A good example is Microsoft or Google. Do you know that people are just employed to handle that search button?
Really?
Yeah, that search.
Oh, okay.
That is just your work to ensure that search button. And it's not even maybe one person, maybe just a team that is handling search. So you ask somebody, I work at Google. What do you do at Google? I work at the search button. You understand?
Wow.
Or maybe I'm just, you know how Google normally changes the fav icons when there are events. Yeah. So somebody is just working on that particular. Yeah, waiting for the calendar change, and then they change. Yeah, somebody's working on indexing information so that when you Google Semabox, it appears like the first on the Google list. Yeah. So for an international company, that's how structured it is. Yeah, that you're not going to be swamped in so many things. Yeah, so that allows you to focus on one particular problem that you're solving, really, and know what you're doing. Unlike a local, again, Faithport, where I'm doing everything, I'm just thrown all over. Yeah, because my main at the end of the day, my main objective is to ensure that systems run, that on a Sabbath morning when people are giving their tithe, things don't crash. Yeah. So it makes me even walk with my laptop most of the time. Yeah, because downtime might happen. Yeah, and I need to solve those problems. I go to church with my laptop all the time, so that in case anything happen, I can always solve those problems. Yeah.
So we don't have the same structures that they have for us to be able to focus on small things like the search button.
So how does that structure come in? Yeah. The structure comes in terms of are you able to support the people that you're going to employ? Yeah. Like for the local, let me give an example on maybe a startup that is starting. Yeah. They normally start with maybe two people. Yeah. Somebody who's the face of the company, somebody who's doing the donkey work. Yeah. But at that stage, they still can't support people. Yeah, they've not hit the market. They've not gotten clients. Yeah. So when they get clients, or maybe they get into the venture capitals, the seeding funds, all that, that is when they start thinking of, yeah, we can relieve some duties from Ambi, so that at least we can employ an Android engineer, we can employ iOS engineer. At least productivity will be better. Yeah. So when structures are there, productivity is good. Yeah. Like somebody doing everything. The example of Google, somebody working on a search engine. Yeah. At no point will you expect that search to fail, because you had only one job. Yeah. You had only one job. You are not all over. So you not expect that search engine to fail. But for the local one, or maybe a startup that is starting, yeah, say a platform that is supposed to give a list of all members and be able to filter them, maybe search, or maybe filter givings by dates, categories, and all that. Yeah, the category bit might fail. Yeah, because this guy didn't have maybe a QA person to test all the acceptance criteria around that particular feature. Yeah.
Okay, I think I'll look for a job at Google working the search button.
Yeah, you can,
it's so specific.
Yeah, you can get there's so many things that those international companies have.
Yeah.
Yeah, they even employ doctors, they employ chefs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can get. There's always a spot for you.
But they say the small things matter in the long run.
Yeah.
Small things that we even on the outside don't even notice, because at no point in time did I go and Google and think, oh, someone is running this search button specifically. But just as we close off the episode, in let's say the next 5 years, where do you see the future of iOS engineering in the continent, in Kenya? Do you think it's going to grow? Do you think that we're going to still be very Android based? Yeah.
It's going to grow. Yeah. I'm happy to be part of iOS community in Kenya. And we thought of maybe can we match the other communities, like maybe the Android, the web communities, in terms of how do they bring skill sets on board as well. Yeah. And there's beauty in being recognized by Apple, that there's a community in this region that is vocal about our products. Yeah. So yeah, there's possibility of growth around there, and I see it grow. Not even 5 years. 5 years could be a long time. Maybe 1 year or a few months, because development is becoming like the new thing in all aspects of economy. Yeah. When you go to the side of law, there's techie.
Yeah.
When you go to business, there's techie. When you go to medicine, there's techie. Yeah. And all this, they need platforms
Yeah.
to operate on. And then also, let me say the Apple products are also becoming too common in the African market. You can throw a stone and you'll hit 5 people with the iPhone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really. So we still need apps to run on those platforms. Yeah. Again, remember, as technology is also growing, the need of building cross multi-platform apps is also there, whereby you just build one and then it's able to run on both platforms, like maybe Android and iOS. Same thing is running there. So yeah, there's growth in terms of iOS development.
Okay.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
So we're going to close off the episode there. Thank you so much, Ambi, for being with us today.
Yeah.
It's been a lovely conversation. And for our listeners, you've been listening to the African Stack, powered by DataWise Africa. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next time.